Warning: his video contains details of real crime cases. Watch with caution. If you're a fan of true crime investigations and want to follow more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any case. In the tree-lined streets of Maple Valley, an affluent suburb of Seattle, Washington, the Mason residence stood as a testament to the American dream. The pristine colonial-style home, with its manicured lawn and welcoming front porch, became a landmark of success and domestic harmony for the surrounding community. Here, Nathan and Victoria Mason had carefully crafted what appeared to be the perfect life. Their story seemingly pulled straight from the pages of a lifestyle magazine. From the outside looking in, the Masons epitomized modern success. Nathan, with his commanding presence and infectious smile, had risen through the ranks of Seattle's burgeoning tech sector. Victoria, equally accomplished, had built a reputation as one of the city's most sought-after interior designers. Her work featured in several upscale magazines. Together, they painted a picture of marital bliss that made their neighbors both envious and inspired. Their daily routines became part of the neighborhood's fabric. Every morning, rain or shine, the couple would jog together along the winding paths of Maple Valley Park, their matching athletic wear and synchronized pace drawing admiring glances from other early risers. Their weekend brunches on their sprawling deck became legendary, with the aroma of Victoria's famous blueberry pancakes and freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air, attracting friendly waves from passing neighbors. The Masons' dinner parties were the talk of the community. Once a month, their home would come alive with the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses as Seattle's up-and-coming professionals gathered to network and socialize. Victoria's eye for detail transformed these events into masterpieces of entertainment, while Nathan's natural charm made every guest feel like the most important person in the room. Their happiness seemed contagious, their success attainable, their love unshakable. Their social media presence only reinforced this perception. Victoria's Instagram feed was a carefully curated collection of their perfect moments: intimate date nights at Seattle's finest restaurants, spontaneous weekend getaways to nearby Mount Rainier, and candid shots of them working side by side in their home office. Each post garnered hundreds of likes and comments celebrating their relationship goals. However, beneath this meticulously maintained facade of domestic bliss, the Masons harbored a secret that would eventually shatter their carefully constructed world. 2 years ago, seeking to add excitement to their decade-long marriage, Nathan and Victoria had ventured into the local swinging community. What began as a mutual decision to explore new dimensions of their relationship would ultimately expose deep-seated insecurities and hidden resentments. Their initial foray into this lifestyle was cautious and calculated, much like everything else they did. They joined exclusive online communities, attended carefully vetted events, and set clear boundaries with potential partners. The experience initially seemed to strengthen their bond, creating a new level of intimacy through honest communication and shared adventures. Victoria bloomed with newfound confidence, while Nathan appeared to embrace this evolution of their relationship with his characteristic enthusiasm. Yet, as their involvement in the lifestyle deepened, subtle cracks began to appear in their perfect veneer. Observant neighbors noticed slight changes: tense exchanges during their morning runs, longer hours spent at their respective offices, and a gradual decline in the frequency of their famous dinner parties. The couple's social media presence, once a daily affirmation of their perfect union, became increasingly sporadic. These changes, though imperceptible to casual observers, were the first tremors of an impending earthquake that would not only destroy the Masons' marriage, but would send shockwaves through their entire community. Their story would eventually serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers lurking beneath the surface of seemingly perfect relationships and the devastating consequences of unaddressed emotional wounds. As the events would later unfold, the tragedy that awaited the Masons would force their community to confront uncomfortable truths about marriage, trust, and the sometimes destructive pursuit of perfection. Their fall from grace would become a subject of whispered conversations at PTA meetings, local coffee shops, and neighborhood gatherings, leaving everyone to wonder, how well do we really know the people we call our neighbors? Nathan Mason's journey to success followed a path marked by both determination and inner turmoil. Standing at 6 feet 2 inches with steel blue eyes and an athletic build maintained by religious dedication to his home gym, he cut an impressive figure in Seattle's tech circles. As the Chief Innovation Officer at Horizon Technologies, a rising star in cloud computing, Nathan had earned a reputation for his brilliant strategic thinking and ability to predict market trends. Born into a fractured home in Portland, Oregon, Nathan's early life was shaped by his parents' bitter divorce when he was just 9. The weekly transitions between his father's sparse apartment and his mother's nouveau riche household with her new husband created a deep-seated need for control and stability in his adult life. Despite these challenges, or perhaps because of them, Nathan excelled academically, earning a full scholarship to Stanford University's computer science program. Victoria Mason, née Henderson, brought a different energy to their partnership. With honey blonde hair, warm brown eyes, and a natural grace that made her equally at home in boardrooms and art galleries, she possessed a rare combination of creative talent and business acumen. Growing up in a tight-knit family in San Francisco, Victoria developed an early appreciation for aesthetics and human connection, influenced by her mother's career as an art curator and her father's work as a clinical psychologist. After graduating from the Rhode Island School of Design, Victoria quickly made a name for herself in Seattle's competitive design scene. Her signature style, blending modern minimalism with warm, inviting elements, attracted high-profile clients and earned features in Architectural Digest and Elle Decor. Her Instagram following grew to over 100,000, where she shared not just her design work but glimpses of her seemingly perfect life with Nathan. Their paths crossed at a tech industry charity gala in Seattle in 2013, where Victoria's firm had handled the event design. Nathan, immediately captivated by her animated discussion of how spatial design influences human behavior, found himself drawn into her orbit. Their courtship was a whirlwind of intellectual conversations, spontaneous weekend adventures, and shared dreams of building something extraordinary together. Within 6 months, they were engaged, and their wedding at the iconic Fairmont Olympic Hotel became the talk of Seattle's social scene. The ceremony, like everything in their lives, was meticulously planned and flawlessly executed, setting the tone for what appeared to be a perfect union of minds, ambitions, and hearts. The early years of their marriage were marked by rapid professional growth and social advancement. They purchased their home in Maple Valley, quickly establishing themselves as the neighborhood's power couple. Their complementary strengths seemed to create an unshakable foundation. Nathan's analytical mind balanced Victoria's creative intuition, his introversion complemented her social butterfly nature, and their shared drive for success pushed them to greater heights. However, as they approached their 10th anniversary, subtle changes began to emerge. Victoria, having reached many of her professional goals, began to question whether their life had become too predictable. The passion that had once burned so brightly seemed to dim under the weight of routine and expectations. Nathan, while still deeply in love with his wife, found himself increasingly absorbed in his work, using professional challenges as a substitute for emotional connection. It was Victoria who first broached the subject of exploring the swinging lifestyle. Her suggestion came after a wine-filled evening with clients who had hinted at their own experiences in the community. Nathan's initial reluctance gave way to cautious curiosity, driven partly by his fear of appearing closed-minded and partly by a genuine desire to maintain their reputation as an adventurous, modern couple. Their entry into the lifestyle was methodical, beginning with extensive research and careful discussions about boundaries and expectations. They joined an exclusive members-only club called The Circle, known for its discretion and upscale clientele. Their first few experiences were carefully controlled, involving only couples they had thoroughly vetted and felt comfortable with. The initial impact on their marriage seemed positive. They spent more time talking about their feelings and desires, rediscovered physical intimacy, and felt a renewed sense of excitement about their relationship. Victoria bloomed with newfound confidence, while Nathan found himself enjoying the social aspects more than he had anticipated. But as their involvement deepened, subtle changes began to affect their dynamic. Victoria's growing comfort in their new lifestyle contrasted with Nathan's increasing unease. His childhood experiences with instability began to resurface as feelings of vulnerability and possessiveness. Though he kept these emotions buried, they would eventually prove to be the seeds of their destruction. As their story would soon reveal, the perfect facade they had built was about to crumble, exposing the fragile foundation beneath. The very lifestyle that was meant to strengthen their bond would ultimately test it beyond its breaking point, leading to consequences that neither of them could have foreseen. As spring bloomed in Seattle during May 2024, the carefully constructed world of Nathan and Victoria Mason began its final, tragic unraveling. The catalyst for their destruction would emerge in the form of Marcus Sterling, a charismatic gallery owner who had recently joined the circle with his wife Emma. Standing at 6 feet 0 inches with dark features and an artist's thoughtful demeanor, Marcus quickly became a notable presence in their social circle. Nathan's initial discomfort with Marcus was subtle but observable to those who knew him well. During group gatherings, his typically relaxed demeanor would tense whenever he noticed Victoria and Marcus engaged in conversation. Their shared passion for art and design created a natural rapport that, while innocent in nature, began to feed Nathan's deepest insecurities. The situation deteriorated rapidly over several weeks. Security footage from the Circle's clubhouse would later reveal telling moments. Nathan's increasing alcohol consumption during events, tense whispered exchanges with Victoria in corners, and his growing isolation from the group. Text messages recovered during the investigation painted a picture of mounting tension between the couple. "You barely looked at me all night," Nathan wrote after one gathering. "You're being paranoid again," Victoria responded. "Marcus and I were just discussing the new gallery opening." "Sure, just like you were just discussing art at the last 3 events." Victoria's phone records would show a pattern of increasing communication with Marcus. Texts about upcoming exhibitions, coffee meetings to discuss potential collaborations, and casual conversations that, while professional in nature, represented everything Nathan had come to fear. The breaking point arrived in the form of a seemingly innocent group chat message about a planned gallery opening. On the evening of May 15th, the Sterlings hosted what would become the final gathering for the Masons. The event, held at their luxurious Queen and Hill home, brought together 20 members of the Circle for what was supposed to be a celebration of Marcus's gallery's 5th anniversary. The evening began like many others, with flowing champagne and elegant hors d'oeuvres, but observant guests would later recall an unusual tension in the air. At approximately 9:45 p.m., security cameras captured Nathan stepping onto the Sterling's balcony, ostensibly to take a business call. From this vantage point, he had a clear view through the floor-to-ceiling windows into the main living room. It was here that he witnessed what he would later describe to investigators as the moment everything became clear. Victoria and Marcus were engaged in what appeared to be an intimate conversation in a quiet corner of the room. Their body language, while not overtly inappropriate, suggested a level of comfort that sent Nathan into an internal spiral. A lip-reading expert would later confirm that the conversation included plans for a private meeting to discuss a potential collaboration on a new design project. Witnesses reported that Nathan's demeanor shifted dramatically after returning inside. His usual practiced smile was replaced by a rigid expression, and he consumed several drinks in quick succession. By 10:30 p.m., he insisted on leaving, despite Victoria's protests that they had promised to stay for the unveiling of a new art piece at 11 o'clock. The drive home to Maple Valley was marked by a suffocating silence, broken only by the soft hum of their Tesla's electric motor. Traffic cameras along their route captured the vehicle moving erratically at times, suggesting heated exchanges between the couple. Their home security system logged their arrival at 11:17 p.m. What happened next was pieced together through a combination of physical evidence, neighbor testimonies, and Nathan's eventual confession. The argument began in their garage, with Victoria demanding to know what had gotten into him. As they moved into the house, the disagreement escalated rapidly, their voices carrying through the typically quiet neighborhood. Nathan accused Victoria of having an emotional affair with Marcus, while she defended herself, insisting that he was destroying their marriage with his paranoia. The confrontation reached its climax in their living room, where Victoria's attempt to leave the house prompted Nathan to grab her arm. In the struggle that followed, he pushed her away from the door with unexpected force. The medical examiner's report would later confirm that Victoria's head struck the corner of their marble coffee table, a piece she had personally selected for their home just months earlier. The impact caused catastrophic trauma, and despite Nathan's immediate calls to 911 and attempts at CPR, Victoria was pronounced dead at 12:03 a.m. on May 16th. The immaculate cream carpet, which Victoria had insisted on despite Nathan's practical objections, now bore silent testimony to the night's events. Their smart home system recorded Nathan's desperate calls for help, his broken attempts at resuscitation, and his repeated whispers of, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," until first responders arrived at 11:42 p.m. The perfect life they had built, maintained, and presented to the world came to an end in a matter of minutes, shattered by a toxic combination of jealousy, insecurity, and uncontrolled rage. The tragedy would send shockwaves through their social circle and community, forcing many to confront uncomfortable truths about the nature of relationships and the sometimes deadly cost of maintaining appearances. The investigation into Victoria Mason's death began the moment Seattle PD Detective Sarah Reeves stepped into the pristine home at 12:15 a.m. on May 16, 2024. The scene presented a stark contrast. A magazine-worthy interior marred by signs of violence. The overturned bar cart, scattered glasses, and most significantly, the marble coffee table with traces of Victoria's blood on its corner. Nathan Mason sat in the kitchen, still in his evening wear from the Sterling's party, his hands trembling as he clutched a glass of water. His initial statement to police painted the incident as a tragic accident. "We were arguing," she stumbled. "I tried to catch her." However, the physical evidence told a different story. Detective Reeves's trained eye immediately noted inconsistencies. The pattern of disrupted furniture suggested a chase rather than a simple fall. Victoria's designer heels, found nearly 15 feet from where she fell, indicated she had been running or moving rapidly. Most tellingly, the surveillance system, which Nathan had forgotten about in his distressed state, had captured crucial audio of the entire incident. The investigation expanded rapidly over the next 48 hours. Search warrants were executed for electronic devices, security footage, and communication records. The Seattle Police Department's Digital Forensics Unit uncovered a treasure trove of evidence that would prove crucial to the case. Over 2,300 text messages between Victoria and Marcus Sterling in the previous 3 months. Nathan's increasingly paranoid searches about infidelity and tracking devices, security footage from the circle showing multiple tense encounters between the couple. Victoria's draft email to her sister expressing concerns about Nathan's possessive behavior, location data showing Nathan had driven past Marcus's gallery 17 times in the past month. The autopsy report, released on May 19th, delivered the first major blow to Nathan's defense. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, King County's chief medical examiner, concluded that Victoria's injuries were inconsistent with a simple fall. The angle and force of impact suggested she had been pushed with significant strength. Additionally, defensive bruising on her arms indicated a struggle had occurred before the fatal impact. The case took another turn when members of the circle began coming forward. Despite the community's usual code of silence, the gravity of Victoria's death prompted many to speak up. Their testimonies painted a picture of Nathan's escalating behavior. "He would follow her around at parties, always watching," reported one member. "The last month, he started drinking heavily at events. He wasn't like that before," stated another. "Victoria confided in me that she felt suffocated, but she didn't want to damage their public image," revealed a close friend. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Michael Chong, built a compelling case around these elements. The theory they presented was straightforward. Nathan Mason, unable to control his jealousy and fear of losing his perfect life, had snapped in a moment of rage, leading to Victoria's death. The defense team, headed by prominent Seattle attorney Rebecca Winters, attempted to maintain the accident narrative while acknowledging Nathan's emotional struggles. They argued that the lifestyle the couple had chosen had created unprecedented stress in their marriage, leading to a tragic but unintentional death. The trial began on September 3, 2024, drawing national media attention. The courthouse steps became a daily spectacle of reporters, curious onlookers, and lifestyle community advocates using the case to discuss the broader implications of alternative relationship choices. The prosecution's case was methodical and devastating. Day 1. Opening statements painted Nathan as a man obsessed with control, unable to handle the lifestyle he had agreed to explore. Day 3. The medical examiner's testimony definitively ruled out an accidental fall. Day 5. digital forensics experts presented the timeline of Nathan's escalating behavior through text messages and search history. Day 7. Marcus Sterling's testimony provided context for his professional relationship with Victoria, while inadvertently highlighting Nathan's irrational jealousy. Day 10. The audio recording from the home security system was played in court, allowing jurors to hear Victoria's final moments, including her clear statement, "Nathan, you're hurting me. Let go." The defense fought back, presenting character witnesses who spoke of Nathan's professional achievements and previous gentle nature. They brought in relationship experts to testify about the psychological impact of alternative lifestyles on traditional marriages. Nathan himself took the stand on day 12, breaking down as he described his love for Victoria and his overwhelming regret. The jury deliberated for 27 hours before reaching their verdict. On September 20, 2024, Nathan Mason was found guilty of second-degree murder. Judge Patricia Harding, citing the domestic nature of the crime and Nathan's apparent lack of premeditation, sentenced him to 25 years in state prison with the possibility of parole after 18 years. The verdict sent ripples through Seattle's upper-class social circles, leading to intense discussions about the nature of modern relationships and the pressures of maintaining perfect appearances. The circle quietly disbanded in the months following the trial, its members scattered by the tragedy that had exposed their carefully guarded world. The Mason case reverberated far beyond the walls of the King County Courthouse, sending shockwaves through American society that would be felt for years to come. In the months following Nathan's sentencing, their story became a lightning rod for discussions about marriage, trust, and the often dangerous pursuit of perfection in the age of social media. Maple Valley, once proud of its picture-perfect image, found itself under an uncomfortable spotlight. The community that had once celebrated the Masons as their crown jewel now grappled with the reality that they had missed, or perhaps ignored, the warning signs of impending tragedy. Property values in the neighborhood temporarily declined as the Mason residence, unsold and empty, stood as a silent reminder of what had transpired behind closed doors. The impact on Seattle's professional circles was equally profound. Horizon Technologies, where Nathan had been on track to become CEO, faced its own crisis as investors and partners questioned the company's judgment in elevating someone who had hidden such deep-seated issues. The board quickly moved to distance themselves, donating Nathan's entire stock options to domestic violence charities and establishing a foundation in Victoria's name focused on supporting victims of domestic abuse. Victoria's design firm, which she had built from the ground up, became a case study in crisis management. Her former employees, led by her longtime assistant Jessica Chin, transformed the company into a worker-owned cooperative, ensuring that Victoria's creative legacy would survive while acknowledging the complicated nature of her story. The lifestyle community faced its own reckoning. The dissolution of the circle was just the beginning. Similar organizations across the country found themselves under increased scrutiny, with many implementing stricter screening processes and mandatory counseling sessions for members. The tragedy sparked important conversations about consent, jealousy, and the importance of mental health support in alternative relationship structures. Media coverage of the case evolved from sensationalist headlines to more nuanced explorations of modern relationships. The New Yorker published a lengthy piece titled "The Performance of Perfection," examining how social media pressure contributes to the maintenance of facades in troubled relationships. The Atlantic followed with "The Mason Effect," when alternative lifestyles meet traditional insecurities, which became required reading in several university sociology courses. Marcus Sterling, whose unwitting role in the tragedy had made him a central figure, closed his gallery and relocated to Portland with his wife Emma. In a rare interview with Seattle Monthly, he reflected, "What happened to Victoria wasn't about lifestyle choices or artistic connections. It was about control, insecurity, and the devastating consequences of unaddressed trauma. We all saw pieces of the puzzle, but none of us put them together in time." The legal community also felt the case's impact. The Seattle Bar Association organized a series of seminars on domestic violence recognition, using the Mason case to illustrate how high-functioning, successful individuals can hide dangerous tendencies behind socially acceptable facades. The prosecution's handling of digital evidence, particularly the integration of smart home data and social media analysis, set new precedents for similar cases. Perhaps the most lasting impact came from Victoria's parents, who established the Victoria Henderson Foundation for Relationship Violence Prevention. The foundation focuses on identifying subtle forms of control and manipulation in seemingly perfect relationships, with a particular emphasis on high-achieving couples who might otherwise fly under the radar of traditional domestic violence screening. Nathan's journey through the criminal justice system became its own cautionary tale. Initially placed in maximum security due to the high-profile nature of his case, he was eventually transferred to a medium-security facility where he began participating in anger management and therapy programs. His prison journals, leaked to the media in 2025, revealed a man slowly coming to terms with the depth of his insecurities and their catastrophic consequences. The Mason residence, after remaining vacant for 18 months, was finally purchased by a non-profit organization and converted into a counseling center for couples in crisis. The marble coffee table that had played such a crucial role in Victoria's death was removed and replaced with a memorial garden, where a small plaque reads, "In memory of Victoria Henderson Mason, may our pursuit of perfection never again cost us everything." As society continues to grapple with the lessons of the Mason tragedy, one thing becomes clear. The case has forever changed how we view the intersection of personal choices, relationship dynamics, and the masks we wear in public. The perfect life that Nathan and Victoria Mason presented to the world serves as a reminder that beneath the most carefully curated surfaces, human emotions remain complex, volatile, and potentially devastating when left unaddressed. 5 years after Victoria Mason's death, the ripple effects of the tragedy continue to shape American society's understanding of modern relationships, domestic violence, and the price of perceived perfection. The case has become more than a cautionary tale. It has evolved into a cultural touchstone that fundamentally altered how we discuss marriage, lifestyle choices, and the dangers of maintaining appearances at all costs. The entertainment industry was quick to capitalize on the story's compelling narrative. In 2026, Netflix released Perfect Lives, a critically acclaimed documentary series that expanded beyond the Mason case to explore similar tragedies across the country. The series, which won an Emmy for Outstanding Documentary, sparked a national conversation about the intersection of social media pressure and relationship dynamics. HBO's dramatic adaptation, The Facade, starring Michelle Williams as Victoria and Michael Fassbender as Nathan, premiered in 2027 to record viewership. While the series took creative liberties with certain details, its brutal honesty about the psychological toll of maintaining perfect appearances resonated deeply with audiences. The show's writers worked closely with domestic violence experts to ensure responsible portrayal of the subtle warning signs that preceded the tragedy. Academic interest in the case has produced several notable studies and publications: The Mason Complex, Social Media and Modern Marriage, Harvard Sociology Review, 2026, Digital Footprints of Domestic Violence, Predictive Patterns in High-Functioning Relationships, Journal of Criminal Psychology, 2027, When Alternative Lifestyles Meet Traditional Trauma, a study of the Mason case, American Journal of Marriage and Family Therapy, 2028. The legal precedents established during the trial have influenced numerous subsequent cases. The Mason standard is now commonly referenced in domestic violence cases involving high-achieving couples, particularly regarding the admission of digital evidence and smart home data. Law schools across the country include the case in their curriculum, using it to illustrate the complex intersection of domestic violence law, digital privacy, and circumstantial evidence. Social media platforms have also felt the impact. Instagram introduced new features allowing users to flag concerning behavior in seemingly perfect relationships, while Facebook partnered with domestic violence organizations to develop AI algorithms that can identify patterns of controlling behavior in online interactions. The hashtag Beneath the Perfect has become a movement, with millions sharing their own stories of struggling to maintain appearances while dealing with relationship difficulties. The Victoria Henderson Foundation has grown into a powerful force for change, with offices in 12 major cities and an annual budget exceeding $20 million. Their Perfect is Not Worth It campaign has reached millions of high school and college students, while their couples counseling program has helped thousands of relationships in crisis. Victoria's parents have become prominent speakers on the domestic violence circuit, their message emphasizing the importance of substance over appearance in relationships. Nathan Mason's story has taken its own trajectory. His prison journals, published with proceeds going to domestic violence charities, provide a haunting glimpse into the mind of someone who destroyed everything in pursuit of control. He has become a case study in criminal rehabilitation, participating in programs helping other inmates understand the roots of their violent behavior. His most recent appeal was denied in 2028, with the court upholding his original 25-year sentence.